staggering statistic by the World Bank in 2008 was that by 2050, Africa may have as many as over 500 million people still without electricity. They don't have electricity, they don't have enterprise, they don't have enterprise, they don't have communication, they don't have communication, they don't have knowledge. And so the cycle that Africa has suffered for the last 50 years will continue unless there's some joined up thinking. The bioenergy industry, which is a phrase that encompasses biogas, biomass, biofuel, liquids, so many different strains, but is often misused because people need to define exactly what they mean by it. So the motivation really comes from trying to define how projects can be best helped, how they can be best financed, and make that particularly relevant for Africa, which has a huge natural resources asset base.
The African Union Commission is supposed to have the necessary capacity to design a continental strategy.
We need radical change in the way we approach the energy system in Africa.
As I say, there's no shortage of paper and words about the issue. Now is the time to put some rubber on the road, put some traction into the process.
One of the objectives of this symposium in the specific domain of bioenergy will be to help design and help concretize what we will consider as an incubator fund. One of the roles of the incubator fund will be to attract adequate level of investments, to match investors and developers, and to support, as I was saying earlier, capacity development and research and development.
Our transport, they are still using fossil fuel. And will continue to use it until we provide a substitute. And biofuel can really be the substitute. We should really enable the development of policies, and this will be one of the prime objectives of the incubation fund, which we are hoping to set up. If we can move this project forward in terms of partnership or securing funds, we'll be achieving something.
Trying to grow bioenergy or any other technology as a substitute for another technology is not necessarily a smart strategy. But what we have here is you already have 10% of market share. I think the problem, and therefore the opportunity, is to stay focused on that 10% and say, how can we change that 10% to be far more effective and far more productive and far more sustainable?
If biofuels is to make progress in South Africa, it absolutely has to be combined with the clean fuels decisions that essentially that must be taken over the next 2 years. The government has declared an intention for biofuels to have a seat at the table. So in essence what we're saying is that when the nuts and bolts of the funding are worked out over the next 2 years, biofuels needs to be part of it.
Bioenergy is not the savior. It is not the be-all end-all. It is the foundation from which the rest all comes. There's plenty of money in Africa. It's just very concentrated. So if we can go to where the money is concentrated and say to these guys, not some sort of hippy-drippy, let's make ethanol. No, let's go to them and say, look, we're going to strengthen your company's bottom line and put you in a better position for the future. You've got a lot of little guys who have really great ideas for projects, but they don't have the experience or the capacity to develop a bankable project. So why can't we take this money and incubate them so that they can go from idea to implemented project and actually create production capacity?
The past 2 days have been very informative, and I was able to just look at the different players, the industry, private sector, the social groups, the financiers.
To be able to speak to people and share ideas, and the prospect of putting the incubator fund together It's very, very exciting. So we're looking forward to the next steps.
What I haven't had as an experience is how to put funds together, and this workshop was very important.
Sustainability is all about enabling us to achieve what we want to achieve. You have a fantastic opportunity here. Just make sure that when you do the financial deal, you understand, and everybody in the process understands, that sustainability is just as much a part of that as that return on investment over time. Bonsucro is an entity created by a wide range of actors in sugarcane. In about 2005, got together and said, you know what, sugarcane could be done better. Just better. What does better look like? So NGOs, farmers, millers, intermediaries, end users got together and said, what are we looking for? What does good sugarcane look like? And I'll come back to it in brief, but essentially it's about legal compliance. It's about environmental respect. And you know what? It's fundamentally about good, efficient business. The future is almost certainly Africa's. Thank you very much indeed.
The South African sugar industry definitely wants to participate in this space. We've taken the decision, we've done the necessary homework, the projects are underway. Government has indicated by probably the end of 2012, there could be a procurement program released.
What I tell people is that bioenergy, as we all know, is a popular sector. It's a sexy sector. It's in the news every day, and it's going to be so for the foreseeable future. But it doesn't mean that it automatically translates into investment dollars. Incubators are an excellent way for the investors to test the market, because what they get is limited risk from catastrophic losses, which may be catastrophic for a middle market business.
I think it's all worth our time and our energy to really spend time and investigate this thoroughly, because if we get it right the first time, especially the funding criteria, for anybody out there to qualify to benefit from this fund, what do they need to have? And this must match the objective of the fund.
It's important to involve small farmers. We cannot have only a company buying all the land and producing this. Especially in a context of agrarian reform, for example. Bioenergy could give an important contribution to this. But this is not the single solution to this. We have many other renewable energies, specifically for each end use. Depending on the country, there are different solutions. So when we put in this perspective, then we avoid a kind of nonsense debates about, for example, if we displace all the oil in the world, well, then we probably will need another planet Earth to produce all this amount of bioenergy.
We changed the format for normal conferences in the fact that we invited in real projects from the whole sub-Saharan area, mainly in southern Africa, to present their particular business case, to pitch for funding. And then for that pitch to be analysed by our specialist delegate audience. In an investment situation, people don't have long. Normally, somebody does a pitch, 15 minutes, investor says, if the numbers stack up, I'm there.
The company is called Stellenbosch Biomass Technologies. The project, it's more about starting rollout of lignocellulosic conversion. Not just looking at first generation, but actually more start to look at second generation technologies for cellulosic ethanol production.
We are looking at the utilization of bamboo as an input for the smelter industry in South Africa.
We're talking about investment grade biogas projects. Our approach is to develop a sustainable architecture. We go into the customer and look and design a sustainable architecture. An architecture that can pay, an architecture that doesn't cost money but puts money in the pocket.
Well, Dariva itself has been founded 2002 on the basis of what is called directed evolution. And what we have been doing all the time is improving, using proprietary mechanisms, improving organisms, improving proteins, improving enzymes, improving strains.
Does everyone here know exactly what intellectual property you have in your portfolio as part of your investment package to look for investor suitors?
The reality is that it's really just a time and money barrier to entry. And a patent is really just a formalized way of doing that. Equally, pyrolysis is not something you can patent. You cannot patent breathing.
From here, the next steps would be the development of the incubator fund and the related incubator hub. It's going to be really important to find ways to transfer entrepreneurial skills and understanding and find ways for these companies with new ideas to get them to transfer into bankable projects.
I've learned quite a lot, and I'm very keen to see how this, proceed, and I would like to be part of the group still.
When I go to financial centres in the next round of this process and say, write me a cheque, they'll say, what for? The incubator is the focus. So instead of what project, how many projects, where, and so on, and all the complications, the incubator process gives a focus for investors to say, that's a clearinghouse for projects. Simple. End of story. Very easy. Who will they make the cheque out to? The incubator fund. Okay. Why will they make the cheque out to the incubator fund? Because they know the fund is going to be managed professionally by a professional fund management group who are also supporting the project with lower cost operating fees. We will basically put it out to a process to several fund managers in the banking community, and the rest of the banking community will take part because they will trust the fund manager to know that this revolving fund, which is taking equity in new risk projects, is a supportable process to gain traction.